Today, we're going to look at something that quietly influences the way we shop, probably more than we realize. It's called the Diderot Effect, and it all starts with just one single purchase. So think about this for a second. Have you ever bought something new, maybe for your apartment, your home office, or even just a new piece of clothing, and all of a sudden you get this nagging feeling that everything else you own just isn't quite up to snuff anymore? Yeah, it's that feeling. That one shiny new thing somehow becomes a catalyst, setting off this totally unplanned and often kind of expensive chain reaction of more and more buying. I'm sure this sounds familiar. Let's say you treat yourself to a really nice new gaming chair. It's awesome. But then you look over at your old desk and it just looks sad. So you get a new desk. But now your headset clashes with the whole vibe. So a new one of those is next. And hey, you might as well grab a matching mic to really complete the whole setup, right? Well, it turns out this whole spiral isn't just you being impulsive or bad with money. Nope. It's actually a well-documented pattern in human behavior. And it has a pretty fascinating story behind its name. To really get it, we need to jump back in time a bit, all the way back to the 18th century, in fact, to meet the philosopher who kind of stumbled upon this whole idea by accident. So this is Denis Diderot. He was a big deal, a really important writer and thinker during the French Enlightenment. And for most of his life, he lived a pretty simple, humble life, totally happy with all his old, well-loved stuff. But then, one day, that all changed. A friend gave him a gift, this absolutely beautiful, luxurious scarlet robe. It was a huge upgrade from his old one, but it created a new problem. You see, the robe was so fancy, it made everything else in his study, his old straw chair, his worn-out desk, suddenly look cheap and out of place. This feeling of disharmony started to bother him. So he started replacing things, one by one, trying to make everything live up to the standard of this new robe. And before he knew it, he was in debt, surrounded by all this fancy stuff he never even wanted in the first place. He actually wrote a whole essay about it, talking about how he used to be the master of his old, comfy robe, but now he was nothing more than a slave to his new one. It dictated every other choice he made. And that, right there, is the Diderot Effect. It's this tendency we have where our purchases need to feel like they belong together, like they're part of a coherent identity. When we bring something new into our lives that disrupts that harmony, we feel this almost unconscious pressure to upgrade everything else around it just to feel consistent again. So that's a great story from the 1700s. But how does a philosopher's problem with a dressing gown become such a massive deal in our lives today? Well, Diderot's scarlet robe is everywhere now. Just think about getting a new smartphone. It's not just a phone, is it? Suddenly, your old case looks clunky. You need the earbuds that are designed to pair with it perfectly. And of course, a new wireless charger seems like a must-have. That phone isn't just a gadget, it's the new robe that sets the bar for an entire collection of accessories. You see the exact same thing play out in our homes. You buy one really nice modern couch, and that couch basically acts like a spotlight, suddenly highlighting how worn out your coffee table is, or how the pattern on your old rug just doesn't work anymore. Every new thing you buy just makes the next old thing stick out like a sore thumb, until you've accidentally redecorated the entire room. And here's the crucial part. A lot of the time, the old stuff works perfectly fine. Your old desk still holds up your monitor, your old rug is still, a rug. The thing driving this whole spiral isn't function, it's a feeling of cohesion. The old things just don't fit into the story you're trying to build about yourself anymore. And you can bet this very human tendency hasn't gone unnoticed. What started as a personal psychological quirk for a French philosopher has become a very intentional part of modern business. Oh yeah, the biggest companies out there today, they don't just sit around and hope the Diderot effect kicks in. They actively design their products and marketing to trigger it. They're not just selling you one thing, they're selling you the first step on a very long, very coordinated path. This strategy has a name too. It's called building a product ecosystem. This is the art of creating a whole family of products that are literally designed to work better together, look better together, and feel, incomplete where they're on their own. It's basically the Diderot effect, but industrialized. And you see this everywhere, right? Apple is the absolute master of this. An iPhone just feels like it needs an Apple Watch and AirPods. IKEA doesn't sell you a chair. Their showrooms sell you a whole perfectly coordinated room. Brands like Samsung, Logitech, Razer, They all do it. They make sure that once you step into their world, it feels easiest and best to just stay there. Because the ultimate goal isn't to get you to think, I need a new phone. It's to get you to think, I'm an Apple person. Or not, I need a bookshelf, but I'm an IKEA person. They're not selling you items, they're selling you an identity, piece by piece. So, what do we make of all this? Is this just some kind of bug in our psychological software that we need to fix? Or is there maybe something a bit deeper going on here? You know, when you really get down to it, the Diderot effect isn't just about consumerism. It points to a really fundamental human need, our desire for things to be consistent. We want the story of our lives and the things that populate it to make sense together. Looked at this way, every purchase is sort of an attempt to make our physical world line up with the version of ourselves we have in our heads. We're all just curators of our own lives, trying to tell a story that feels cohesive and true. Which kind of makes you wonder, when you think about your own little upgrade spirals, what was your scarlet robe? What was that one purchase that started it all? And more importantly, what story about yourself were you trying to tell? Diderot's story reminds us that this isn't some new modern problem. This deep human quest for a life that feels harmonious and whole is timeless. The things we buy, whether it's an 18th century robe or a 21st century smartphone, they're just the vocabulary we use to tell that story.